This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, 313. Hello, Michigan. And if you're listening from outside the state of Michigan, hello to you as well. We really appreciate you. Welcome to episode number 11 of Travel Basketball with Gus Weaver. I'm your host. This is only heard on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Please follow those guys on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Today, I think we have a great show lined up for you. My goal with this platform is to give exposure to kids, to programs, to coaches, to referees, to parents even, that are deserving. The kids putting in work, the parents putting in the miles, the coaches putting in the time. That's who we like to give shout-outs to on this program. Last week, I brought you a pretty good interview, I thought, with Ernest Freeman of the Motor City Wolverines. He's the guy you want to contact if you want to get into his league that he's the founder of, the Detroit Kings Basketball League. It's the only league in the city that's giving your kid an opportunity to play a championship game on the Little Caesars actual court that the Pistons play on at Little Caesars Arena. Great interview last week by Ernest Freeman. This week, later on, we'll talk to Mr. Jordan Ebbs, a big-time name out of Ann Arbor. I'll also give you a full preview on an out-of-state tournament, the Boys of Summer 2, hosted by Barnstorm Basketball Association. This tournament is going down in Kentucky. We've talked about the BBA before on this show. Very good guys to work with. They put on an amazing tournament. That's very kid-friendly, that's family-friendly, yet the competition level is there as well. So we'll preview that tournament. My opinion, it's a good time to be a travel basketball fan. You got tons of things going on. You got nationals. You got high school players, last days on the AAU circuit, so to speak. You got kids transitioning, from fifth graders to middle school, middle school to high school. Also, besides basketball, you got football on the horizon. And football is king for the most part in terms of fandom in America. Check me out on Facebook, Gus Weaver. What I do for football season is we have what's called Who You Got group, and it's a Facebook contest. And what we do is we give away custom 313 Live hoodies throughout the NFL season. It's the only group on Facebook giving you the opportunity to win 4 hoodies throughout the NFL regular season. So check me out, Gus Weaver. The name of the group is Who You Got. I'd like to jump right into our preview tournament for this week. A lot of times we look back at a tournament, but all of the time we preview a tournament coming up this weekend. This week, the featured tournament is the Boys of Summer, which I just mentioned. It's hosted by Barnstorm Basketball Association. Commissioner Jack Williams, Zeke Harris is involved. Mindy Prim Williams is involved. She's their personal trainer that's always on site. So that's something that most tournaments don't give you, a personal trainer on site for every game. So let's look right into it. This is the second Boys of Summer tournament held in Kentucky at St. Henry's Athletic Complex. Me personally, we took our hot boys to St. Henry Athletic Complex for a BBA event earlier this year. Fantastic venue to host such a tournament. So, anytime you can have a second tournament, and as I mentioned, this is the second Boys of Summer tournament. The first one had to be a success for you to have a second one. So congratulations to BBA on having some repeat tournaments coming up. Last year, in case you missed it, Kentucky Premier won the 6th and the 7th grade. And Kentucky Chemistry was also involved. You got Team Kingdom won the 8th grade. Ohio KOTC won the 9th grade division. And at the varsity level, the oldest division, you had Team Z with a tight victory over the Detroit Legends at last year's Boys of Summer tournament hosted by BBA. As we look into this year's One of the main reasons why we're previewing this, with it being an out-of-state tournament, is because we're sending our 2025 Hot Boys. These are fifth graders going into sixth grade, and this is their first travel tournament. So we do want to preview this tournament just to give you an idea of what these guys are going up against. Let's look first at the third and fourth grade combined division. This division is only combined through pool play. What that means is on the Saturday, these teams will play each other. On Sunday, when it comes down to bracket play, elimination day, third graders will be set alone, fourth graders will be set alone, but a combination in pool play. So let's look at it. You got the Shockers, you have Grind Nation, you have I Am Third, Team XL out of Cincinnati, and the Kentucky Warriors. I am familiar with a few of these teams as we follow them on Twitter. Team I Am Third, Kentucky Warriors, and with Team XL, we have personal experience with. We've played these guys twice, not necessarily at this age group, but well-coached, well-ran organization from Team XL, I Am Third, and Kentucky Warriors. Really looking forward to see what Grind Nation will bring to the table, and the Shockers, because the Shockers are one of those teams that, sometimes when we look out at tournaments, they're fielding multiple teams as well as Team XL. As we move forward, you'll see this isn't the only XL team, and programs like that we like to keep an eye on that are fielding multiple teams in tournaments. So for the record, I'm looking for Team XL and Team I Am Third to be in this championship battle if both of them are bringing third and fourth grade teams. If not, they'll be separated in bracket play. I'll be there firsthand to get a good look at both of these teams. And, that's another reason why I wanted to preview this tournament, is because I personally will be in Kentucky taking a good look at all of these teams. Some of them I've seen before, some of them I have yet to see, but I will be able to check out in person this weekend in Florence, Kentucky. As we look at the fifth grade division, this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about making this road trip. This is the tournament that we're sending our 313 Hot Boys, class of 2025, their first opportunity to travel together as a group. So let's look at this fifth grade, and here's some of the teams that are in it, locked and loaded, ready to compete. You have Team OKU, Southern Indiana Shock, 313 Hot Boys, Kentucky Cobras, Team Fury, Southern Indiana Shock, a great program that once again is able to field multiple teams in most tournaments. Kentucky Cobras, ran by Ty Simpson, a very quality organization. If you listen to the BBA podcast, you've heard him on there talking good things about the Kentucky Cobras. This is a club that we personally have experience against, not necessarily at the fifth grade division, but at the sixth grade level. We did play these guys, so very well coached program, and a lot to be proud about if you're a Kentucky Cobra with a chance to win this BBA event. As we look at the sixth graders, once again, Kentucky Cobras, Cincinnati Royals are admitting two teams into this age bracket. So they'll Cincinnati Royals will have a black team, they'll have a red team. Once again, Southern Indiana Shock, Fearless Elite, Forest Hills Titans, and the Kentucky Wave. Kentucky Cobras, like I said, personal experience against. Kentucky Wave, personal experience against. These other clubs, I'm very intrigued to see what Cincinnati Royals are bringing to the table. And I'm pretty excited to look at Southern Indiana Shock on all age groups because I've heard so much about what a quality organization they are. So once again, Kentucky Cobras, Cincinnati Royals, Southern Indiana Shock. I'm very excited to see what Forest Hills Titans, how they come, how they travel. So we'll take a look at all those teams at the sixth grade level. As we look at seventh grade, you have the Cougars, Cincinnati Royals, Northern Kentucky Defenders, Kentucky Cobras, Southern Indiana Shock, and the Northern Kentucky Splash Elite. Quality programs in this group out of these six teams. I'm really looking at the Kentucky Cobras, been doing very well at the middle school, age group, 7th graders, 8th graders, looking for them to make a splash in here. And I'm intrigued to see what Northern Kentucky Defenders are looking like. I haven't seen much on this program, but I'm interested to see their uniforms, how they travel, what style of play do they bring to the table. Very excited about this 7th grade group. As we look at 8th grade, You got the Cleveland Boys and Girls Club, Spirit Warriors, Shockers, Southern Indiana Shock. Now, this is the first tournament that I've seen, like a legit travel tournament where a major city is sending their Boys and Girls Club to compete. So definitely have my eye on the Cleveland Boys and Girls Club. We mentioned the Southern Indiana Shock. We mentioned the Shockers. These are quality programs that are able to put multiple teams in a tournament of this magnitude. As we look at the 9th grade division, Indy Saints, Kentucky Storm Elite, Southern Indiana Shock will be competing for a trophy here. And, once again, I've heard nothing but good things from the Indy Saints, nothing but good things from the Southern Indiana Shock, and the Kentucky Storm Elite. I'm really looking forward to see how those guys are coming, into a tournament of this magnitude. So I'll keep an eye on all three of those teams. That should be a highly competitive, division. Anytime you have a division where there's only 3 or 4 teams, those tend to be some of the, most competitive games, because normally the team you see in the championship, you've already played in pool play. You got a good feel of what they're doing. They got a good feel of, your style of play. So I'm looking forward to a highly competitive 9th grade and varsity level at the BBA event. Speaking on varsity, let's take a look at the teams in this age group. You got Team XL out of Cincinnati, Southern Indiana Shock, Kentucky Cobras, Indy Saints. Once again, nothing but quality programs. Only 4 teams in this group. So a very, very highly competitive tournament is what we're anticipating going down to Kentucky. This BBA tournament also features an all-tournament team, which is not offered by most tournaments. It features a 3-point contest, something else that is not really offered by most tournaments. And if you're one of those teams that's lucky enough to make the championship game, player introductions for every age group on the championship level over a PA is really, like I said, this company knows how to keep it family friendly. They know how to keep it player friendly. They know how to get repeat customers. So that's your preview for the BBA Boys of Summer 2 tournament held in Florence, Kentucky. I will be there. Next week we'll do a recap of this tournament, and I'll tell you how some of these teams fared. A very exciting time for Jack Williams and the Barnstorm Basketball Association. As promised, my guest for this week's show is the director for the Ann Arbor Basketball Academy, the founder and the director of the 2020 and 2022 Adidas-sponsored teams from the Ann Arbor Basketball Academy, Mr. Jordan Ebbs. Jordan, thank you for joining us today. Good.
Good. Thanks for having me, Gus. Enjoyed listening to the last couple podcasts, so I'm happy to be able to talk on it.
Well, it's a pleasure to have somebody like you to come in and give some knowledge to the listeners. Something that we try to do every week is get a guest interview to give a little bit of insight on, what goes on behind the scenes, what goes into planning certain things. And, first and foremost, give our listeners a little bit of your basketball background, how long you've been doing what you're doing now.
I played a little bit of almost every level of collegiate basketball myself. Originally signed with South Carolina, Claflin University in South Carolina. I took a medical red shirt there because I had a couple family issues, and I actually transferred to Jackson College in Jackson, Michigan, where I played 2 amazing years there. I really enjoyed my time there. And then I signed to University of Texas in Odessa, Texas at the Permian Basin campus, and finished my career off there. And it was only a couple minutes after playing, so I started training kids, and that kind of formed into a couple teams, and then kind of took off to where we're at today.
So you kind of played, man, all over it, different regions of the country.
Yeah, I'm from South Florida. Well, I was born in Michigan, but I grew up in South Florida. Played in South Carolina, played in Michigan, played in Texas. So I've definitely had the fair share of different locations, but I love different levels of basketball. And,
it shows, not only in, the way you talk to the kids. And for those of you who don't know, we brought in, my team, the 313 Hot Boys, we brought in Jordan numerous occasions to teach our kids some of, what he has in his pocket in terms of basketball. And Jordan has quite a way of relaying information to the kids. Definitely the voice is heard and it's acknowledged, and just tons of stuff they're learning from you, and they love being around you, man. So that's a compliment to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. I gotta give back a compliment. I played for a couple of amazing college coaches as well. One of them being John Willis. He's a Jackson guy, and he was our coach. And, I took a lot from him as far as the relationships that you need to form with your players, and that's what comes first. So, I took a lot from him. I took a lot of X's and O's from my coach Dwayne Osborne in Texas. So I kind of took a little bit of everything from my own coaches, and I try to kind of translate it to my younger guys. I also want to give a shout out to you 313 Hot Boys, man. I really enjoy going out there working with these kids. If you guys don't know them, you're going to find out in a couple years these guys are no one to mess with, man. They've got everything you need from bigs to shooters to passers. But by far the most important thing is they have the support from you yourself, Gus Weaver, as well as Mike, who also helps out a lot, and not just with the X's and O's and all that. I mean, he takes care of kids. He helps them financially. He's picking up on rides. And if anybody knows AAU basketball, that is a necessity. You absolutely need somebody like yourself and like Mike. So hats off to you guys. Hats off to the whole 313 program. I'm excited to continue to help out with you guys and run some clinics and see where these guys end up at.
Thanks for the kind words, man. And, yeah, we'll definitely, keep you around because you got a lot to give to us. And yeah, big-time shout-out to my guy Mike, man. He helps out in so many different ways. It's kind of crazy. I know we wouldn't be where we are as a program without his contributions.
Every program, they have a couple of guys like Mike. They have to. Otherwise, it just doesn't work, man. It's not just the tournament fees. It's the paying for the kids. It's the traveling. It's the practice space. It's the uniforms. It's the insurance. There's so much that goes into it behind, the scenes that a lot of people don't pick up on. And there's, you're constantly working. You're constantly worrying about kids, and not just your kids, other people's kids. So, again, big hats off to Mike and to you as well, because I know you're doing the same thing. So, awesome for you guys.
Thanks, man. For me personally, this interview, we kind of hit some peaks and valleys just trying to organize a phone call because you're all the way on the West Coast.
I am.
With your Ann Arbor Basketball Academy squad. Touch on, real quick, the type of tournament you guys are at out there in California. What type of teams are you facing?
Sure. So we are in the Adidas Summer Championship out in Los Angeles, California. It's a great event. It started on Tuesday and it doesn't end until Sunday. So it's a full week of basketball. They stretch out the games, so you're only playing one or two a day. So you got a lot of time to bond with the team, to go check out the scenery, and also watch some great basketball. They've got they only have us at four different sites, but these sites have about 20 courts on each site. We've got 3 certified refs for each game. They're taking very good care of us, and we're making a lot of noise for Michigan right now. We're 3-0. All games have been double-digit wins. Our first game we played against a team from Illinois, TS Wolverines. Our second game was against Washington, D.C. Elite, and our third game, which was this morning, was against California Fierce, which is another, obviously a California team, but they're somewhat local. So we did our thing. As far as pool play, we're 3-0. Now we play tonight our first bracket game in the Platinum bracket, and we play a Super Pool team at 5:45. So boys are ready to go.
That's good, man. I know how it is when they stretch out those games, during the course of a 5 or 6 day event, where, sometimes you're only playing 1 or 2. But
sure,
like you said, it's a perfect opportunity to bond with some of the kids, some of the family that's there, go sightseeing. That obviously you're there for basketball, but anytime you get a long break like that, why not check out the scenery?
Oh yeah, it's bigger than basketball for
sure.
No
doubt.
These bonds that these kids are making are lifelong bonds, and I'm constantly telling my boys, hey, look, I played 4 years of college basketball. It was a great time. It shaped who I am today, but there was nothing more fun than being 15, 16, 17 years old and being in these AAU tournaments, playing in front of these big schools, having the opportunity to play multiple games. If you have a bad game, you don't need to wait a week. You can, get right back after the next one. So the opportunity is great, and the boys are taking advantage of it. So we're really happy to be here. As well as all the other traveling we've been doing. We were in Chicago last week. We came right from Chicago to LA. Right from here, we're going to go straight to Fort Wayne. So it's a 3-week tour that you expect these kids and these parents to be super invested. And when you have the group that is super invested, a lot of these coaches know it's something really special, man. So we're loving it out here.
Hey, man, you spoke about playing in front of, big schools. I just saw on Twitter that John Beeline and his group are out there at that Adidas tournament, checking out the talent. That same tournament that you guys are in. I think that's humongous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time. There's every big school you can possibly think of is out here. And these kids are having an opportunity to play in front of them. And, John Beeline knows us pretty well because we're obviously the Ann Arbor team. And we also have Trevor Rico on our team, which is Michigan women's head coach's son.
Nice.
And he's an absolute stud. He's a swing kid. And so not only do we get to see these great coaches where they were able to come and say hi to our teams and all that, so the boys loved it. And the boys know that just having recognition is huge. And the opportunities come when you do things the right way and the coaches notice that they want to watch you play again. That's what's happened. Our first couple games, we had a couple scouts. And then, as we're going to our second and third game, we're seeing the same scouts there. So the boys are noticing that. So it's been a really fun time.
You speak about recognition, and that's something that, respect and recognition a lot of the times is given to you. But if you start a program and you're with a program, sometimes you have to earn that. And in my opinion, you guys have been earning that. We've been talking a lot about you on my weekly podcast because it seems like almost every week you're knocking off a big name AAU team. Speak about just a little bit about your recent success, man. I know you've been kicking Reach in the head and a couple other programs, and it's very impressive, because I'm following.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. And speaking of Reach, shout out, to Reach, shout out to Michigan Playmakers, shout out to Detroit Spartans, shout out to Greenwood Elite, shout out to Triple. I mean, there's a lot of really, really good programs in Michigan. Michigan is far from dead as far as the travel basketball. Everywhere we go, we're seeing Michigan teams do well. We're representing Michigan in a great way. But also the New York to LA circuit is Michigan teams are winning left and right. So, it's great to be able to compete against these guys because, we're playing against Reach, and it's always a good game against Reach, whether it's an overtime loss or a close win. It shapes us for these other teams, and that's what people don't realize is that sometimes traveling out of state doesn't mean better competition. There's a lot of good competition in that Michigan area. So, Reach has formed us to be who we are. We didn't start off beating them. We started off losing, and we made adjustments. We watch a lot of film. I have real mature guys that hold each other accountable. I got a group full of gym rats. So, and guys that are not okay with losing. I always talk to a lot of my assistant coaches, and we let them know, hey, pouting's not the worst thing in the world. We don't want our guys to go and show it and to let everybody in the world know they're down. But at the same time, you're never going to see us out here celebrating or playing around in the hotel after a loss.
Right.
And it's just something that these boys are very serious about. And a lot of it comes from the families they've grown up in. You have great parents in my program who don't put up with that either. So it's a big shout out to all the Michigan travel teams. I know I missed a couple, but they've shaped us to get a lot of our success. And then also it goes back to a system. We run the same exact plays. Everybody knows it. They know what they're going to get when they go man. They know what they're going to get when they go zone. I have my kids from the youngest age possible to 17 new players. It's all the same system. So if a player's sick or we need to move a player around or move a player up or whatever the case is, there's no more having to teach. We have a feeder system. And, that's why I also want to lead into I merged with 03, which is another program in the Saline area, and that's ran by a guy named John, who's an amazing guy, who's a family guy, business guy, basketball guy, just like myself. And he has visions and plans that I do as well, and we kind of came to realize, hey, we can do this better together than we can separately. So we've formed together, and now we have a lot more teams. We have a lot more kids, because I was mostly doing the older guys. But, it kind of worries you because in a couple of years, those guys are going to graduate, and you got to make sure you got some newer guys coming in. So John has done a great job as far as working together and saying, hey, I've got a bunch of younger teams. I want to have something for them when they get older. And I'm on the other side saying, hey, I need some younger guys that I could start showing them these plays that we've been doing. And so me and him have been working together for the last 4 or 5 months, and it's been great. So constantly having to remind people it's not just AABA, it's AABA 03 right now. But, and that's just for the kids' sake. There's no personal motives. We're just trying to have more opportunities for the kids. So that's been going great. So big shout out to John. Big shout out to all the families that have, allowed this merge to happen and kind of understood that it's for the best. And, they have an amazing facility that we've been able to call home now, which plays a lot to do with our success. The gym is open for kids anytime they want. We're not renting out of a place, so if a kid texts me, hey, Coach, can I get in the gym? I tell them, don't text me, just come up here. The door's unlocked. So that's huge. And that wouldn't be possible without John.
That's quite an advantage to have, man, for any kid in that program because, a lot of clubs are, looking for gym time, looking for a location, a venue, just to have practice, once a week. So anytime you can afford a player that opportunity, I think that's huge, personally. Coupled with your recent success, what's next? I know you talked about going to Fort Wayne after you leave LA, but in terms of big moves or big ideas you got anything on the horizon brewing that you could tell the listeners about?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple things, brewing in the pot that we're not for sure about yet, but we got invited to go to a couple other circuits next year. Although we've been really happy with the Adidas circuit, some of them we might be able to actually do both. I'm not too sure. I got to do some research. But we got invited to a New York to LA circuit, to another IT power circuit. And so we don't know exactly what we're going to do yet. There's also a possibility of going gold in the Adidas gauntlet because we were a silver gauntlet team this year. It was our first year in the gauntlet. And we've beaten quite a few gold teams. We've gone far in a lot of the Adidas tournaments. So there's a possibility of us getting into the gold division of Adidas, and that would bring in more funding, which would allow for more recruiting. So there's a couple things, stewing up. But right now we're just trying to focus on these last 2 weeks of making some good positive noise out here in LA and then following up in Fort Wayne. I got a good amount of kids right now that are being heavily recruited. And then the other ones are the ones that are not being heavily recruited have made a lot of noise here in LA. So
that's good.
Right now we're running with a team of 9 guys, and there's no reason not one of them should play college basketball. So that's our focus. And also to touch on, I have amazing kids that our team GPA is a 3.4. Most kids have 3.9s or 4.0s on my team, and that's huge in the recruiting, which is another thing that. I feel like it's left out in a lot of travel basketball. It's the whole recruiting process.
Jordan, Jordan, you bring it up. Look, you just brought up recruiting. We might as well get into that right now. Because it is something this a lot of times is glossed over, is pushed to the back burner, and a lot of kids miss out because everything, the affairs are not in order in a timely phase like they need to be. Is there any advice, any info that you can give to not only players but the parents as well in terms of recruiting? What do they need to do? What needs to be done?
Absolutely. You said it right there. A lot of it is the parents. And I don't think parents realize how big of a role they have in their child's recruiting. We see it all the time. We all know the obvious. You got to have good grades. You got to take your test scores early. You got to have scores to tell coaches. You got to stay out of trouble. Another thing that coaches look to is, a lot of times they ask me, how long has this player been with you? They're looking for guys that are loyal to their AAU programs. They're not looking for guys that bounce around and play in a new AAU team every weekend. And I'm going to use one of my players, for an example. Kabir Burge is one of my all-stars. And every season he has amazing programs of coaching. Greenwood Elite, Oakland Elite, One Nation. And, his high school coach, who's a great coach, Keith Wade he runs a One Nation team, so he was trying to get Kabir to play, and Kabir respectively declined just for the simple fact that he's been playing with me since 5th grade. He's very loyal to me. He knows that his face has a lot to do with the AABA program's success, and just a couple of college coaches I was talking to the other day, they love that. So they're looking for guys that are able to face adversity and are guys that are not willing to jump ship, because that's what's happening in the college world today. Kids are not staying at the same schools, and when that happens, assistant coaches lose their jobs, recruiting coaches lose their jobs. So now coaches are recruiting for guys that are not willing to quit, because I can tell you firsthand, in those 4 years of college basketball, you're going to hate it at times. You're absolutely going to hate it. There's going to be times you don't want to play anymore. There's going to be times, and then sometimes it goes back to the parents, and if the parents are saying, I don't know why he's not playing, or I don't know why he's not doing this, they jump ship, college coaches lose their jobs. So now these coaches are recruiting higher GPA guys that are staying at the same high school for longer, staying at the same AAU program for longer. So they're taking that into consideration. So I want kids to remember that when they're kind of contemplating leaving or not. And I don't want people to take this in the wrong way either. Sometimes there's cancer. Sometimes there's situations where you need to get yourself out of. So I'm not saying that, you need to stick with one program and be with them. But at the same time, it's something that coaches take into consideration, because that's a big problem with college sports right now is guys transferring schools. So they take that into value. Another thing that they really, really take into value is warming up. How does the player look when he warms up? These coaches can watch all of these games online. They get out of their house and travel and come watch you play because they want to see how serious you are before the game, what you do after the game, how you warm up, how you interact with your teammates, how you interact with the coach. Do you hustle off the court? Is your jersey tucked in? These are all rules that we absolutely have to do. We don't have any huge Division I players. We got a team full of college athletes, but we make sure that there's nothing that's going to scratch a kid's name off that he can control. The little things, So that's another huge part that they're looking for is how you warm up and how you handle adversity, how you handle when things don't go your way. And the last thing I want to touch on, and it's kind of a sensitive topic, is the parents. These coaches take home visits not to see where you're from, but to see what your house is like, to see what your parents are like. Because we all know, even 18, 19, 20-year-olds, you're still your mother or father's child, and you still have you still will listen to them in a lot of ways. So if your parent doesn't sell themselves to the coaches either, that can also hurt a player. And at the same time, we see this all the time. You see in AAU tournaments all the time. An amazing kid and then a parent up in the stands. You can't hold my son. You can't guard him. You can't do this. None of you guys can keep up with him. Coaches don't want to see that. And you see it almost every tournament, and I feel bad for the kid. I always do, because it's not the kid's fault. The kid has no idea. Most of the time the parents have no idea. But they're recruiting you as a person. But a lot of that has to do with how you were raised and what you're still around today. So I wish that a lot of these parents, and I would obviously never go to a parent and tell them how to act, but I'm hoping some of them hear this and it kind of brings to light that they are on the radar just as much as the kids are. And they want to make sure the kids are coming from good homes and that they're being pushed at home and that they're not being coddled and they're not having to jump ship when things don't go the right way. Because again, like I said, there's going to be times in your career where you're going to hate it. I myself was a standout high school player. I was a standout at a junior college, and I went to a bigger school in Texas. And I'm so used to having rewards for all my hard work. And hard work is a loose statement, because you're working harder than you ever have in your life.
Right.
And you're also not seeing the reward that you once saw. You're not able to play the same amount of minutes. You're not able to shoot the same exact shots. So when you're working 10 times harder than you ever worked for anything, and you don't see that same reward and that same acknowledgement, it gets hard. It gets challenging. So if you don't have parents behind you that are saying, stick with it, work harder, or you guys doing 3 days, get in the gym and make yourself do a 4-day workout. And coaches notice that, and you just get mentally tough about it. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for parents to have their backs, and they're not looking for parents to disagree with them or to coddle their kids out of a situation. So I think that is something that's not really talked about a lot. But I just, for the kids' sake, and the parents' sake as well, I would just hope the parents start to realize that they're being judged as much as the kids are.
Hey, man, look, I got a notepad out as I'm listening to you. I feel like I'm just getting out of a lecture hall. But a much-needed life lesson lecture. I'm going to share this with, some of the parents on both of our squads. Not saying that we have problem parents, but like you said, it's necessary to know that these college guys, they aren't just looking at the player. Like, they're looking at the family.
No.
That's something that I've said before. But to hear it from, another voice, it just puts more behind it, more backing behind it. So I'm definitely going to share this with some of my parents. Look, man, honestly, you were a great interview. Before I let you go, can you give our listeners some of your social media handles if they want to follow you and see what you got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow my Instagram page at J_EBBS561. That's my Instagram. I do a lot of AABA stuff just through my own personal Instagram. You can also check us out on Twitter at AABA_elite. And then we also have a Facebook page, and it's just under Ann Arbor Basketball Academy. And then also, if people are interested in training or coming out for any leagues and all that, it's all ran under the O3 website now, which is o3sports.com. And again, we're kind of out of the Saline area, but I got kids that come from all over to play for us or to train with us. So yeah, that's how you can get a hold of me or anybody in our program. And I guess I want to thank you again for having me again. I've been listening to all your podcasts. It's always a fun time after a tournament to throw your podcast on it and drive home and listen to what other teams did and who's on the uprise from the Michigan area. So again, I appreciate you having me. And I look forward to keep listening to your podcast, man.
Well, thanks again, man, for coming on and giving us some knowledge. And, I'll be seeing you soon. We're somebody that, me and you, we keep in constant communication. So thanks again. A very great interview. Jordan, I'll be talking to you soon, man.
Awesome, and have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.
Jordan Ebbs, Ann Arbor Basketball Association /03. He spoke about the recent merger of the two programs. A great interview. I wish them guys the best of luck the rest of the way out there in Los Angeles, California. So far, they're 3-0 in pool play, looking to continue that in bracket play. Best of luck to the AABA /03 kids, the national team, going out to the West Coast and taking care of business, representing Michigan very well. That brings us to the shout-out portion of the program. One of my favorite times, because you never know who we're going to be shouting out. Last week, we shout out some people that had nothing to do with sports at all. This week, everything has to do with sports. First and foremost, the Stony and Wojo Invitational held on 97.1 on the radio. I think this was Thursday, yesterday, maybe Wednesday. Big time throwback. If you follow Stony and Wojo throughout their radio careers, as I have, they used to have these big round robin, like NCAA style tournaments. It could be fast food sandwiches or whatever the case may be. They had one that they haven't had in a while. They haven't had this tournament in quite a while. They just had an invitational tournament held on 97.1. Congratulations to Terry Foster's drop, Let the Bitch Walk. That was crowned champion. Big shout out to the Stony and Wojo Invitational. Mike Valeni was in the studio. Mike Sullivan and Roberto, did a lot of the drops. So congratulations to those guys. Second shout out, the 2025 Hot Boys invading Kentucky this weekend. We probably already got some parents on the road right now headed down there. Barnstorm Basketball Association is the host. Name of the tournament is Boys of Summer 2. We wish these guys the best of luck. Third shout out, 2024 Hot Boys headed to Wisconsin this weekend to battle in the Gus Macker 3-on-3 tournament. Last weekend, they won the 3-on-3 Gus Macker tournament in Sault Ste. Marie. We're looking for more success. We're looking for a fifth. Let me repeat myself. A fifth Golden Gus first place Gus Macker trophy in Wisconsin this weekend. Last but not least, shout out to the G7 Warriors out of Toledo, champs of the Bees Spotlight League. That team led obviously by Jerry Easter, Kanye Gaston. Big showing by the G7 boys. Another team that we have personal hands-on experience with. Great team down there, great organization. Those are your shout outs. This was another episode of Travel Basketball with Gus Weaver on Detroit Sports Podcast Network.